Hi YouTube and possibly also Tumblr. I've kind of been ranting all day over on TikTok about my fantasy booking for women storylines moving forward, like over the next however long. But you're limited in terms of time on TikTok, so I just kind of wanted to ramble freeform without having a time limit, get all my thoughts out. It's certainly easier for me to a word vomit than type out a Tumblr post and all that. I've already posted my fantasy booked evolution card, although that's probably going to change rapidly. There's probably going to be a draft between now and then, but even so, I'm just going to fantasy book a whole bunch of storylines of what I want to see happen in the next couple of months slash year, between I guess now and WrestleMania 42 in terms of like women's storylines. So number one, this is probably the simplest one. Intercontinental title storyline. I've gone on record and saying I think that everything that's going on with Bayley and Becky Lynch is 100% a work. Because this is the way Becky Lynch operates. She said this whole thing like when she came back and beat Bianca in 26 seconds. She's gone on record as saying that like this is the only way that you get heat slash sympathy anymore is to make people think that it's real. So the only way to get, fans really invested in like what's going on with her and Bayley is not to just make people think there's like a fictional storyline going on, but to make people believe in the meta kayfabe reality that Rebecca Quinn hot dogged and grandstanded and big leagued her way, and Becky Hogan'd her way, to kick Pamela Martinez out of a hard-earned WrestleMania spot just because, Becky thinks she's the biggest star, right? So yeah, I think this is all leading to probably a Hell in a Cell match. So here's my pitch of what I think is going to happen. This, either this is for the IC title and this whole feud is designed to elevate the IC title, or it's a non-title feud and the whole idea is they get so busy with each other, Lyra winds up retaining slash winning back the IC title off of Becky at some point, and Lyra then goes on to feud with, let's say, Liv Morgan, maybe Asuka, maybe Kairi Sane, people like that, but let's say Liv Morgan. So yeah, Becky v. Bayley, big feud between two of the horsewomen who have never, they had a bit of a feud when when Bayley was in Damage Control, but like major blood feud, heated, personal, Hell in a Cell match. This is going to be like the Drew versus Punk of this year, right? The idea that these two people hate each other in real life when they actually don't. Sure. So that's that. That's pretty straightforward. That's pretty simple. I don't really have any plans for what happens once they've had their Hell in a Cell match or big blow off grudge feud thing. Let's go now to the WWE Women's Championship. Because this intersects with a couple of different storylines. So, my pitch number one, I need Naomi to win the title off of Tiffany Stratton. I don't really particularly care how she does it. I mean, she could do it as Money in the Bank winner. I think she deserves to win Money in the Bank. There's like two people who I think are good, like a really good choices to win Money in the Bank, and Naomi's one of them. But the point is, at some point, Naomi wins the title off of Tiffany Stratton, possibly with the help of some kind of Nia Jax interference or Charlotte Flair interference, just because they hate Tiffany, right? So she wins the title. And she celebrates like, even though she wins in an underhanded way where it's not entirely her own doing, celebrates like, it's like she just landed on the moon, like she did, like she's Katy Perry in space, right? She celebrates like she's just done something, absolutely phenomenal, entirely of her own power. She's the happiest day of her life. Yeah, Wyatt theme plays, smoke comes out. Alexa Bliss. We need Naomi versus Alexa. We really need Naomi versus Alexa. they've been on SmackDown for like so many years together. They have like so much history. But also, it just makes sense. The Wyatt Six go after people who betray their friends. What did Naomi do? She betrayed her friend Jade. So it's logical. It's what should be happening, right? But on top of that, the Jade and Bianca situation is also it has to tie into all of this as well. So my pitch is that you have Jade go after Naomi once Naomi wins the title, not only because they have personal history, but because Jade beat Naomi at WrestleMania, so by rights, she should be number one contender. Maybe she wins a number one contenders match, beats Charlotte Flair to get that. But that's when Bianca returns from injury. Bianca stops Jade from going after Naomi. Bianca turns heel. She decides, you know what, I've had a bit of a thought about what Naomi had to say, and with the way things have been going on lately, with everything that happened with Rhea and Io, and all this, and the way the fans are reacting to me, maybe Naomi had a point. Maybe Naomi was right. Maybe I've gotten soft. Maybe I've been naive to people taking advantage of me and manipulating me, and I work so hard. So much harder than you, Jade, and you're riding my coattails to all this success. Naomi was right. So yeah, Bianca turns heel, and she starts being Naomi's protector. And this is good storytelling, because what was Naomi's whole argument? Naomi was really just kind of jealous, but she framed it like, no, I care so deeply about you, Bianca. I can't stand to see someone else, Jade, ride your coattails, take advantage of your greatness and diminish your greatness for their own benefit. But the whole point is, Naomi's going to end up doing to Bianca exactly what she accused Jade of doing. Everything she said about Jade is what Naomi is actually doing. So that's good storytelling. So you end up with Naomi being champion, but the only reason she's able to hold on to her championship for as long as she does is because she is almost entirely reliant on Bianca to be her meat shield. Bianca is bigger, stronger, rougher, tougher, all the superlatives, yeah? That's her gimmick. She's all the superlatives. Bianca is, in kayfabe power levels, Bianca is stronger than Naomi. We all know this, right? But she's diminishing her own greatness, putting herself on a level below Naomi to lift Naomi up. Naomi's exploiting their friendship and pushing Bianca down, lowering her in order to lift herself up. And this is ultimately going to lead to a Bianca Belair face turn, when then she breaks out of, being treated as, subservient to Naomi, and sticks up for herself and goes after the title and reclaims her greatness. So that's going to be that storyline. I think that's a good story. What else? Am I missing anything before I go on to the big meaty one? I don't think I am. If I am, I'll come back to it. Tiffany Stratton as well. So Tiffany Stratton has a lot of unresolved business with Nia Jax. So my broad pitch is that Tiffany and Nia just kind of keep costing each other things, kind of keep costing each other matches back and forth, until they just have to finally have this payoff, this match. So they have this, because they never really resolved their feud from when Tiffany won the title. So this just becomes a thing. It just becomes a thing that they have this ongoing perma feud until they finally have a big blow-off match, right? So they just keep costing each other titles. So, let's say Nia gets a US title match against Zelina Vega. Tiffany interferes and costs Nia the match. When Tiffany loses the title to Naomi, it's because of Nia. Nia interferes and distracts Tiffany, helps Naomi get the win. And not because she's trying to help Naomi, just because she hates Tiffany. And so on and so forth. So they just keep costing each other things until they finally have to have a big match and just confront each other. Yep, and deal with it. Big blow off. And there you go. So that's that. I'm sure there's going to be other things I'm going to forget. I'm not going to deal with NXT because NXT is its own fun little universe. But NXT call-ups to the main roster, yeah, sure, I'll deal with that. Oh, maybe I will do one NXT one. One NXT one. Sol and Zarya. I do have some light fantasy booking for that. It's not very strong. It's just that I don't want Zarya to heel turn on Sol. I think that's kind of predictable. I think that's kind of boring. If one of them is going to quote-unquote turn heel on the other, I want it to be a lot more subtle. I think it's more interesting if you have the story of, like, Sol having all the belts, and that makes her, like, kind of a dick. Like, she doesn't realize that she's being kind of a dick to Zarya, but Zarya's being, like, really supportive. And Sol just kind of gets increasingly more and more up herself without realizing that that's what she's doing. So she kind of is the heel without fully turning heel. She just doesn't realize that she's doing it. And that's what's going to pay off with them having a match. Like, she kind of needs to be put in her place and remember, like, who she is, right? And wake up and be like, damn, I'm sorry, I didn't realize I was making you feel that way. You know, like that sort of thing. Something a bit more interesting, a bit more lighthearted than you know, the two of them just, you know, the typical tag team breakup we've seen a million times before. We don't need anyone going through a barbershop window. Like, we've seen that, right? We don't need another tag team breakup. If they stay together as a pairing, then that means we have this really awesome tag team you can call up to the main roster and they can go after the tag titles. I think that's cool. I think that's a really cool odd couple. And then if you want to have them break up on the main roster. Yeah, do that. They don't need to break up in NXT. Keep them together longer. You can do more with that. Yeah, don't break them up until they're on the main roster. That's just my opinion, though. But let's get into the big meat. The big meat. The number one storyline that I'm most invested in. Two of my top faves in all of wrestling. The Io Sky and Rhea Ripley storyline. And this is going to intersect with a couple of other things, right? So this is my pitch. This is my pitch for how I want the Io Sky and Rhea Ripley storyline to unfold. And the big thing here, the big thing that I have been saying that needs to happen, like back when Rhea lost the title to Io in the first place and cut that promo, this all really seems to be geared towards a story that Rhea has been wanting to tell with her character for a long time, that her character needs to undergo growth, needs to undergo change, needs to learn some lessons, needs to mature up here. Because when Rhea left the Judgment Day, Damian Priest, when he became world champion, he started to grow and change as a character, even before he got kicked out of Judgment Day, right? We saw him through carrying the title. He took that responsibility very, very seriously. He wanted to be respected as an honorable fighting champion, even though he was ostensibly a bad guy. He wanted people to respect the work that he was doing with the belt. So that drove him, made him strive to be a better person. And that was a really good, subtle storytelling, so that by the time he turned face, he was basically already face. It had happened really organically over a number of months. Rhea never really underwent any of that. She never really underwent any major change in the Judgment Day. She just got stabbed in the back and betrayed, but she's still fundamentally the same character out of Judgment Day compared to what she was in it. You know, she's just, you know, a little less of a cheater. Like, you know, she's not, she doesn't have any allies she's helping, right? So she's not breaking up and interfering in matches and cheating to help people win. But if she was in a faction with people, maybe she would be, right? We don't know that she wouldn't do that, right? She's largely the same person, but she just got really, really hurt. But her fundamental approach to how she goes about things hasn't really changed. You know, we saw that with how she went after Liv Morgan. her strategy to go after Liv Morgan is just keep doing the same thing over and over again until you win, and it works. So she challenged Liv Morgan. She lost. She challenged Liv Morgan. It was a DQ. Challenged her again, and then she won. She just kept challenging her over and over again until she finally won. She never had to change her approach. She just brute forced her way, and eventually she got the title. And that's kind of the same thing that happened with Io. So she lost the title to Io. She had, in a way, it felt like, okay, like I had a moment of weakness, of vulnerability where I let my friendship, be more important to me than the title, and it cost me everything. I regret that I for a moment I decided to be a good person, and that backfired on me, right? God damn it. And so then she went back to her brute forcey ways. Also, she blamed Bianca, but we'll get to that. So she went back to her brute forcey ways of just, I'm going to do the same thing over and over and over again until I get my way and I win. And it kind of worked because she forced her way into the WrestleMania match, but she hasn't come away with the title. But she hasn't yet learned that approach doesn't work, yeah? Because she's still going after the title, yeah? In her mind, in Rhea's mental space, she's still able to make the excuse that the only reason she keeps losing is because of Bianca. Like she lost the title to Io in the first place because Bianca was there and distracted her, and Bianca did it on purpose, right? And she the second match was thrown out because Bianca was the special guest referee. Bianca did that on purpose to screw her over. And then the WrestleMania match, I didn't lose. Bianca's the one who got pinned. So once again, it's all Bianca's fault. I don't have to learn anything. It's all just Bianca, but now Bianca's not here, right? So give me another match and I'll just win. Right? That's essentially where Rhea is in her mental space, right? As the character. And that makes sense from an internal logic perspective. That's why would she not think that? But the thing is, the women's world title has been like this cursed artifact for her. Her pursuit of titles and individual success has made her be a pretty bad person in a lot of ways, a pretty shitty person. So it's cost her friendship with Bianca, 100%. That friendship is destroyed because of Rhea's pursuit of this title. She's never getting that friendship back, right? That's damage beyond repair. And her pursuit of the world title has almost cost her friendship with Io. It's still, just barely salvageable. And I think the only reason it's even barely salvageable is just because, Rhea cares about Io so much, despite how much, she doesn't want to and sees it as, a weakness. But god damn it, Io, I just still need to protect you when NXT women come and attack you, right? But, Io doesn't exactly trust Rhea right now, and why should she after the way she's been acting? Rhea was disrespectful to her, brushed her aside, didn't treat her with the respect she deserved. So, their friendship's not exactly in a great place. They're rivals. They're rivals because they both want the same thing, so they kind of can't be friends, right? The championship is between them. Their mutual desire to both want the same thing is stopping them from regaining the friendship that they once had, right? And and the point being, Rhea needs to grow and change as a character out of all of this, right? The whole point of all this, she cannot keep being the same person. She cannot keep being the same character. Cannot keep doing the same thing over and over again. In order to be worthy of winning the championship back, my pitch is the lesson that she needs to learn in order to deserve that title, she needs to be able to let it go. She needs to be okay with not having it. She needs to be okay with it not being her title, with considering it, okay, that isn't my title just being kept warm for me by someone else. That is Io's title. And I don't just have any kind of entitlement to go after it and get it, right? She needs to be okay with not thinking of the title as hers in order for it to be hers again, right? So here's my pitch. Now that I've done that whole backstory of why this is so important, right? And it's also so important, just to add on to that, because of the fact that Io holds it. Because Io is the one person that Rhea has never been able to beat, even back in NXT. And that represents a lot, that this title that is like a cursed artifact for Rhea is on the wrestler who is like a curse for Rhea. It's the two in one. It's the ultimate wombo combo, right? Because Rhea is like physically stronger than Io. She is. She has everything. She has all the tools physically that she needs to be able to beat Io. And she knows that because like she's come this close. If she hits like a Riptide on Io, Io's not gonna like kick out. If she hits an Avalanche Riptide on Io, Io's definitely not gonna kick out. She has all the tools she needs to beat her, and yet she can't. She's the one person that Rhea can never beat because it's all up here. So in order to be finally able to overcome Io and be able to beat her, it's not a question of getting physically stronger. She needs to change mentally. She needs to change something up here in order for that defeat of Io to be earned, to be satisfying, to be something that she does. So here's my pitch of how I would like the storyline to go. Now that I've established all that and why this matters, why it's important, here's my pitch. So we're at this starting point where Rhea still sees the title as hers, and she has, in her mind, she has done nothing to not earn a right to it back. Like the only reason that she is not champion right now is because of Bianca Belair, but Bianca's no longer here. So as far as she's concerned, she's still entitled to that. Io's just keeping it warm for her, and you know, maybe they'll do a little bit in the interim where they have like a tag team match against Roxanne and Julia, but like that's just because they just need to deal with that. I'm still coming for that title, yeah. But here's the thing. I'm Adam Pearce. Like, imagine I'm Adam Pearce. Here's what I'm gonna say. I am sick and tired of your shit, Rhea Ripley. You cannot keep doing this. You know, you are not the automatic, perpetual, eternal number one contender just because your name is Rhea Ripley. There are other women in this locker room, other women who deserve a shot at the world title and have not been within spitting distance of this title because you keep going after it. You keep deciding that it's yours and screw everyone else. You keep doing the same thing over and over again. You did it to Liv Morgan. You kept challenging her over and over again until you finally won. Great, good for you. Now you're doing the same thing to Io Sky. You kept bullying your way into match after match after match. Well, guess what? If you challenge Io again and lose, that's your third consecutive failure. 3 matches. That'll be 3 matches in a row where you claimed your rematch against Io Sky and didn't win the title back. So you know what? You want this third rematch so badly? I'll give it to you. But I'll give it to you on the condition that if you do not win the title back from Io this time, you can never challenge Io Sky again for as long as she holds that title. I mean, okay, if you win the Royal Rumble or win Elimination Chamber, fine, then you can challenge Io Sky, but until then, back of the line, you are never challenging Io again. Give everyone else a turn, and when someone else wins the title, you can go challenge them, but as long as Io Sky holds it, no. I'm never booking this match again, Rhea Ripley, so don't even bother asking me. And Rhea's going to accept, because in her mind, again, the only reason she's not champion right now is because of Bianca Belair. But Bianca Belair's over on SmackDown now, and she's got broken fingers. So Bianca Belair's gone. She's out of the picture. I've come this close to beating Io, right? This is my time. I'm built different. I'm gonna win. If I beat my head against the wall enough times, I'm gonna break through. This is the time that I'm gonna break through the wall. So that's Rhea's mindset going into this match. And let's say that it's the main event of, like, I don't know, Evolution. Something like that. And they have a match, the great match. As we know, they're capable of having, Rhea and Io. A moment comes where they basically both knock each other out. They're both down. Roxanne Perez has, in the interim, won the Money in the Bank contract. And she runs down, her music hits. Roxanne Perez runs down, Money in the Bank, briefcase in hand, with Julia behind her, cashes in. It's now a triple threat. Roxanne goes to hit Pop Rocks on Io, but Rhea wakes up and breaks up that pin. Julia pulls Rhea out of the ring, and because it's now a triple threat, it's no DQ. Julia wails on Rhea, beats her down, chair, weapons, all kinds of things, whatever it takes. Roxanne's directing traffic while this is happening until she's satisfied that Rhea's taken care of and she doesn't need to worry about her. Roxanne turns her attention back to Io, like, evil smile on her face. Roxanne goes for another Pop Rocks. This time, Io sees it coming. She counters, she, like, flips out of the Pop Rocks, rolls Roxanne up, grabs the tight so she can't kick out. 1, 2, 3, Io Sky retains. Roxanne becomes the first woman to fail a cash-in. But that's not important right now. Rhea Ripley did not win the title from Io Sky, and that was the condition. If she did not win, she never gets a rematch again. It doesn't matter that someone interfered, doesn't matter that someone cashed in. She never gets another rematch. And to add in, like, when she has this discussion with Adam, Io Sky might speak up for Rhea and say, look, I don't think that that's fair, but Adam is just going to be like, I don't care if you think it's fair or not, that's what she agreed to. So now they're in a, it doesn't matter. Like, Rhea did everything right. She did everything right in that match, and it doesn't matter. She still lost, and she's still out of rematches, and there's nothing she can do about it. So Rhea's going to go on a warpath. She's going to go beat the ever-living fuck out of Julia. They're going to bash each other's skulls in with headbutts. That'll be awesome. To get revenge on her for pulling her out of the match. In the meantime, Io Sky will have a match against Roxanne Perez. And then Rhea will have a match with Roxanne as well. Beat the ever-loving shit out of her. Maybe we can get Io Sky versus Julia. And this is going to build to War Games. So we're going to have a War Games match where it is NXT girls versus WWE girls. And make up your mind about what the team is, the teams are. But the point is, Rhea and Io are on the same team. But things have been awkward between Rhea and Io after this whole thing, because Rhea is understandably extremely upset and extremely angry that she did nothing wrong, but she's out of rematches. She's never going to get another rematch against Io Sky, despite the fact that this time it legitimately wasn't her fault. So, she kind of doesn't want to see Io walking around with the title that she got screwed out of. So things have been tense between them. And the story going into War Games is that the question is going to be, will Rhea Ripley turn heel on Io Sky? Because, Rhea has a lot of anger, a lot of ill-directed anger. She can't just keep directing it at she's already directed it at Julia, she's directed it at Roxanne, who's left? Io. But the thing is, none of this is Io's fault either. Io didn't do anything wrong. Io's done nothing wrong this whole time. So, Rhea's going to be thinking, like, she's going to be in that War Games match. There's going to be a moment where it's just like Io's down and like Rhea's behind her with like a chair or some kind of weapon. And they're going to tease the idea that Rhea's going to hit Io. But to what end? Like, what does Rhea get if she does that? If she turns on Io, if she takes out her anger on her when it's not her fault? What does she get? That's not going to give her rematch. It's not going to get her anything. And again, Io did nothing wrong. This is not Io's fault. And she's not going to get a rematch out of it. So, what can she do? She doesn't betray Io. She doesn't turn heel on her. She lets go of her anger. And at least towards Io. And she has to make the choice to be like, okay, I'm not going to sacrifice my friendship with Io Sky when, especially when it's not for any purpose. Like, I'm not going to throw away a friendship, like, on my, just because I feel bitter and angry, resentful, and I hate everybody. I'm going to have to learn to live with the fact that maybe someone will beat Io Sky someday, although Io, you're good enough that you could be a forever champion. I have to learn to live with the fact that I may never get another shot at that title ever again because it's on your shoulder and you're good enough to be a forever champion. And you know what? It hurts, but I'm happy for you because that's your title. You deserve it. And as much as it sucks that I'm not going to get to challenge you for it, with every passing day that you continue to be champion, I'm gonna root for you. I'm gonna be happy for you. I'm going to be proud of your achievement getting longer and longer. But as soon as someone defeats you, I'm going to challenge them immediately. I hope you know that. But I'm going to continue to try and earn my way back to facing you again because the Royal Rumble is coming up and, you know, maybe Elimination Chamber. I don't know what they're going to do with Elimination Chamber. I have to keep trying. I have to keep trying. And I hope you understand. I hope you respect that. But the title's not going to come between us as friends, even though I'm still going to try, right? And so that's going to continue. Rhea's going to enter the Royal Rumble, knowing that this may be her last opportunity. If she doesn't win the Royal Rumble, it could be another year before she gets another shot at Io's title. And Rhea loses. Rhea does not win the Royal Rumble. Elimination Chamber. So hear me out. Instead of it being for, you know, who's going to face Io at WrestleMania, Io actually defends the title in Elimination Chamber because they haven't done that in a couple of years, but they used to do that all the time. They would just defend the title at Elimination Chamber. And, you know, either Rhea is in the match and loses, especially if she loses, like, in a way where she gets kind of screwed, or like everyone just dogpiles on her, everyone takes Rhea out, or she doesn't even make it into the match at all. You know, the same way Io lost her Elimination Chamber. Actually, that's even better because Io lost her Elimination Chamber qualifying match the year before. She didn't even make it into the chamber. Maybe it's the exact same thing with Rhea. Rhea has a qualifying match to make it into the Elimination Chamber, and through some kind of fuckery, she loses her qualifying match. You know, it may not, maybe it is her fault, maybe it's not. She loses her Elimination Chamber qualifying match, so she doesn't even get a shot at Io in the chamber. Rhea's out of chamber. And because she's out of chamber, she's out of WrestleMania. So we have, like, Rhea is just like, But Io retains her title at Chamber. She defeats 5 other opponents, retains her title. Io doesn't have a match for WrestleMania. Rhea doesn't have a match for WrestleMania. And this is where it's all going to come full circle. Io is going to do for Rhea what Rhea did for her the year before. Io challenges Rhea to a match at WrestleMania for the title. And Rhea's going to be confused. She's going to be like, okay, Io, you know that there was a stipulation that I can't challenge for your title again as long as you hold it. And Io's going to be like, yeah. You can't challenge me, but I'm challenging you. There's no rule stopping me from challenging you, and that's what I'm doing. Because you're the best. You know, you're the best. And I want to face the best. You've changed. You've grown, like, up here. We've fought side by side throughout this year. We've had a lot of ups and downs. You had my back in War Games, even when I know that was hard for you. You know, you've stood by my side facing the NXT girls. You've grown up here. You're not the same person you were a year ago. I want to face this new version of Rhea Ripley. And on top of that, it's never sat right with me, that whole stipulation that you couldn't challenge me, because you didn't lose that match fairly. Like, that was unfair. I always thought that was bullshit. So I'm challenging you. Adam Pearce make the match. And so it comes full circle. We have Io Sky versus Rhea Ripley one-on-one at WrestleMania. And that's going to be the moment where Rhea Ripley finally overcomes, all the obstacles, the one person she's never been able to beat, the title that has, at once so much been hers, but also eluded her, for the better part of the last, now at this point, 2 years, has eluded her essentially for 2 years after she got her injury. This is where it's going to come full circle, and she's finally going to beat it. She's finally going to beat Io Sky, finally going to win her title back. And it'll be the happiest goddamn moment of her life. And it'll be all because she changed up here. Not because of anything she did physically, but because she's a different person. She's able to win her title back precisely when she stops pursuing it, with such, ruthless abandon. She's able to win her title back because she's able to understand that it's not worth destroying everything over. It's not worth destroying yourself to win that title. And on top of that, Io Sky is going to be happy for her when she wins, because Io Sky wanted to face the best, and she did. She put herself up against the best, this new, more mature version of Rhea Ripley. And on that day, Rhea Ripley was better than her. And Io Sky's happy for it. Io Sky's happy even though it's painful to lose the title. She knows how much it means to Rhea to have finally beaten her. And she's kind of proud of her. She's proud of all the changes she's seen in her over the past year, and since they were in NXT together. So, happy ending. Their friendship is going to be okay. That's my pitch of what I would like that year-long women's storyline to be. And then, on top of that, maybe moving forward, if Bianca's still heel, we could have babyface Rhea Ripley versus heel Bianca. Or, maybe they're both face at this point, but they can still come back around and still come full circle because they still have unresolved issues with each other from this year. So we can set up for that. Now that Rhea's beaten Io, it's time for Rhea versus Bianca. Anyway, that's what I think. Am I missing anything? But yeah, that's my take on what I'd like to see from some WWE women's storylines over the next year.